Yesterday I spoke about another shameful moments of the Russian army. But to be fair, I want to mention that the Ukrainian side also started using the ancient 100mm KS-19 anti-aircraft guns. Initially they were intended to fight air targets, but now they will be used against ground targets as well. The first KS-19 guns entered service in 1947, but there is a nuance. It should be understood that the Ukrainian army has never called itself the second army of the world and in general never boasted of its power. And if it were not for the aggression of the rabid neighbor, they would continue to be engaged in domestic politics without meddling in others' affairs. And in general, the Ukrainians are a party that defends its territorial integrity, so they can use any means and all kinds of weapons for this purpose. They will fire anything that fires, even catapults, if it is expedient, so there is no point in even comparing it to the shameful scrap metal of the enemy. And for such meaty waves as they had in Bakhmut, similar weapons will suffice. At this point I end this topic and move on to the next one. But before I continue, I ask you to subscribe to my channel, it will help to promote it. In a summary, British intelligence writes that the Russian winter offensive, which began on January 11th, ended in complete failure. Usually, their public summaries are based on information from open sources, OSINT community discussions in social networks, are days late and extremely superficial. On the other hand, such specificity regarding the Russian offensive may become commonly accepted, and in the future, its start and end will be counted precisely according to these dates. However, this is not entirely true, as the slow and gradual movement of the enemy, even if they are exhausted, does not stop, even if it goes at a lower pace. So there is no clear sign that the winter or winter-spring campaign has ended. Not yet, at least. One way or another, the failing nature of the offensive is obvious. The accumulation of enormous reserves and restoration of firepower, and the conduct of fierce and bloody fighting, made it possible to make only minor advances at the cost of enormous losses. The important conclusion is that the Russian armed forces, no matter how much we are frightened by the world media, are not capable and unable to open up new battlefields or to launch relatively deep strikes from other directions to, for example, cover the east of the country. They could not a year ago, much less now. The enemy armed forces retain some ability to attempt an offensive in the area from Luhansk region to Ugleda. Despite the unprecedented severity and difficulty of the fighting for the Ukrainian side, the terrain favors the defending side. Unfortunately, deep into occupied Donbass, the terrain is even more conducive to defense, and then Ukrainian fighters will have to face difficulties, but that will come later. In other regions, Russia has been trying for months to bolster its defenses with more manpower of various kinds and military equipment, including long outdated ones like the MTLBS with shipboard artillery units. War always breeds monsters. And that's it for me, see you tomorrow.